Good morning.
Recording in progress.
And welcome to the Brazilian American Chambers of Commerce's Brazil Economic Prospects, Sustainability, Challenges, and Opportunities in conjunction with the Fundação Abrinq. I am John Welch, Executive Director of the Brazilian American Chamber, and on behalf of the Chamber, we wish you all a colorful autumn. Thank you for coming. We have the pleasure of hosting Synésio Batista, da Costa, and Graça of the Fundação Abrinq. With 43 years of experience in business, Synésio Batista da Costa is an industrial economist, entrepreneur, and president of Fundação Abrinq. He performs business representation and articulation policies, techniques, and operational management in national industry associations, business groups, and institutions in Brazil and abroad. Victor is a publicist and serves as executive director of the Fundação Abrinq. He holds degrees in administration for tertiary sector organizations from the Fundação Getúlio Vargas and in fundraising from Indiana University's Center of Philanthropy. So without further ado, let me pass the floor to Synésio and Victor.
Thank you, John. Can you share the presentation, please? So the idea is to share with you some information of Brazil in general, children, and after that, Abrinq Foundation. Okay, I'm going to start with Synésio.
Okay, good morning for everyone. Sorry about my English, but 4 years without come here, probably I forget any word. In Brazil, our population now is grow up in the regular time. In Brazil now we have 22,000 kids per day. It's a nice number for us. Don't reduce, we grow and grow. Now to have 211 million people there. Okay, next. The urban population in Brazil is 84%. It's nice because in the rural population we use too much space for produce food, and the people live there. Okay. Não foi. Okay. Okay. The female 51% and male is 49%, of course. This is division. Females must grow up. In this birth kids is more female all the time. For many years, no boys but girls. 48% of Brazilians is white, and black is all others is 51%, and we survive normally and without troubles. 41% of our population survive with $3.74 a day, but 31% is $1.85 a day. It's difficult. We have a problem here, and we need to work too much to solve or to put the life more better. For now, I'm a guy from the industry. I am a member from our NAM, National Association of Manufacturers, and I am in the toy business for more than 45 years. And it's very interesting because 32 years ago, we had big problem in Brazil is the child labor. And for us, the toy makers, that's not good. For me, like a Brazilian, it's not good. And we start the Abrinq Foundation for the Children's Rights at that time only to make activities against child labor. And at that time my mind said, I would like to work to recover the future and rewrite the future. And I survived with this idea 22 years from now. All things we make in Abrinq Foundation for me and for us is to recover the future and rewrite the future for kids. My country is, Brazil is difficult times or not, but for now we really in the nice moment in our economy. For example, unemployment down, and only in the toy industry we have no workers. I need to use the workers now from Venezuela and others because the Brazilians have no workers. Just only in the toy industry. We have other problems, political problems and that, but when did they end? This situation, the economic situation really improved. And the first time from the last 57 years, this government reduced taxes, duties, and many other things. More than taxes they reduce. And I'm from the industry. In the industry we have one tax, the name is IPI. It's a duty for industrial products. We pay 20%. If I make this toy, this is not a toy of course, we pay 20% for just one taxi. And they reduce this in 35% from the first time in my life. It's because it's more easy talk with this, the people. They understand. They're looking for a solution. It's not blah, 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 blah. This is not a political comment, but in fact, we reduce the rate, and it's not okay give too much money for the government in our idea. And for the workers, we have an individual contract with union. Each industry in Brazil have one our union, industry and workers, and we make our annual contract more than the law. I have exactly law for the workers, and we have private contract with union. And now industry have a nice relationship with the government, and many times we win and many times we lose. But that's it. But the dialogue is more easy now, and the child area, space, we work too much with the government, and we improve many transformations. The Abrinq Foundation, to end my comments, we work more than 32 years. I will show any numbers here. And but when did they end? We are happy because we changed the world for the millions kids. That's it. Help us, work with us. We are there to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Synésio. So I want to thank John and all the team for having us. Thank you to being with us today, this morning, this breakfast. Thank you, Synésio. And as you can see, Brazil is growing the number of people, but the birth rate was like 7 per woman, nowadays 1.9, so it's a different kind of age people. And as Synésio said, the Abrinq Foundation started because of the Toy Manufacturer Association, and the idea is to show you some index or some numbers talking about children in Brazil now. 55% of the families are headed by women in Brazil nowadays, but they have only 25% of access in daycares. So we have a problem. We are working with other NGOs and government to increase this number. The goal is 50. And if you make a cut or a special and see if black women, poor women who lives in communities, poor communities, favelas, the number is just 15%. So it's like 50% less than this number, which is a huge problem. The pandemic crisis all over the world, we have problems with this, but we have children in Brazil suffering with hunger. We are working to minimize this. And for sure we are not as bad as Africa, but we have 100 children between 0 and 5 dying every day in Brazil with preventable causes. Preventable causes, 100 children. It's like a plane falling down with children every day in Brazil. And you are working to this. It's impossible to have in a rich country as this kind of number. As Synésio said, we started combating child labor. Was like 7.78 million 30 years ago in Brazil. Now it's 1.7. This number is from 2019. We know that more, it's kind of 2 million now because of the crisis. So we work again with other NGOs to decrease this number. And part of them work at their houses and work out of their houses too. Education. John, I have until midday to do this presentation, like 2 hours. Education. So it's as we are talking about this. Education can change a country. In Brazil, we have this access. 99% of children in schools. The problem is quality. So again, the pandemic crisis, lots of children are out. We are going to put them again inside the schools 2013. The quality we need to increase, so we're going to train teachers and to improve the quality of education in Brazil. Violence against children, it's an amazing data. We work with we have in Brazil a number we can call, which is DISC-100 when it's 100. It's easy to make to report. And every day, 107 cases and 79, 80 are related to children and teenagers. And here it's another huge number, mostly 85, 90% female are the victims, and say the victims who is in charge of this, who are fathers, stepfathers, uncles. There are 8% of the people who do this, they are family or relatives. Child mortality, again. Prenatal care is a problem. So when we invest in some activities to do between 6 or 7 the prenatal care with children in the cities, we can reduce the mortality. It's a huge result. Vaccination, which is amazing. We were talking about vaccines for 2 years, but vaccination, other polio and other vaccines is decreasing the number of children who are, the coverage rate is going down. And it's a new thing, and it's amazing. Suicide rates are increasing, so, and self-mutilation. It's a huge problem now in Brazil, and youth mostly. You were talking about child mortality, but maternal mortality. We have the SDGs. We are going to reach the child mortality goal. I'm going to show after, but maternal mortality, because of the pandemic, went up crazily, and we are hoping that we can prevent those deaths next year. And because of this, we have some children without mothers and fathers. Infant mortality. We are almost going to reach the SDG goals, but last year increased a little bit, as you can see here. But we are working to prevent this. So we need to train people from the health in the cities. We have some partnerships to do this. And this is the logo from Abrinq, the Toy Manufacturer Association. They decide to work for children, but not directly. So we raise money and support other NGOs who provide the service. So we work as a bridge between who wants to help and who needs help. So they decided that the sector in Brazil was like 400 companies. So they open to the whole society, to the whole sectors, and we invite them to be with us to work as a bridge between. Again, our causes. Combat to sexual violence, combating child labor, combating child mortality, quality access to basic education, and again talk about education. We have huge problems here from 0 to 6, which access and quality, huge problems in which you call here high school. It's a problem of access and quality. Social-emotional, we are talking about mental health, which is suicide again, and self-mutilation, and emergency. Emergency, because we start working as a bridge, we always helping children in NGOs or hospitals. And the pandemic crisis was impossible. Schools were like 2 years closed, and all the health systems were focused in COVID, which was sure they should do this. But it was so we started the emergency activities. So how we work. We work to promote the defense of the rights and the exercise of citizenship of children, implementing programs and projects. And this year we are running 16 programs. Next year will be 20 different programs and projects: education, health, protection. It's very important mobilization in Brazil, so we have some campaigns against child labor, against violence, to increase the number of breastfeeding, and next year a new campaign talking about vaccination. So, again, doing what we do, training people from education and health, we produce knowledge, all the books and the training that we have are in our website, PDFs, and we increased our online training last year, and advocacy. Synésio is always in Brasilia with our team, taking care of the laws who protect children. So those are results from 2021. On the last 32 years, helping children, almost 9 million children, 70,000 children and teenagers benefited only in our programs and projects, because we scale up, asking mayors to sign with us an agreement saying they are going to prioritize children in their term. So in the first year they gave us a diagnosis. They need to have a plan, they need to have a budget, and to do all the activities in education, health and protection. In the end of the term, we are going to give an award to the best 100 mayors. It's 5,570 cities in Brazil, 1,347 mayors signed this agreement, and for sure they have lots of activities to do this. If they don't do it, we put them out of the program. So nowadays, like 70 mayors working with us. It's how we scale up the activities. We train professionals, so more than 400 professionals trained, and monitoring laws in Brazil, different kinds of laws help children. Even, I don't know, very important laws to increase rights to children and to prevent some damage if we don't have this. This year, 16 programs and projects developed. Next year will be 20. They are all connected to education, health, and protection. And we don't accept money from the government in Brazil. So when they started, they decided to, okay, we need to be free to criticize them. So our money comes from individual donors, 44,000 individual donors, small amounts every month, and more than 6,000 companies, different kinds of companies, because Brazil have the small businesses, they are with us, giving us small amounts, and you have big companies helping us with a huge amount. And nowadays it's very important to have different kinds of NGOs we support. We work with more than 200 NGOs in Brazil. We can help children using different kinds of, we call transversal issues. So education, culture, sports, and nowadays very important, gender, environment, racial, technology, defense of indigenous projects. We are in the border of Brazil and Venezuela. It's very difficult to be there, but we are there, and other issues in general. ESG, we'll talk about ESG, very important. And our idea is to be the S-arm of the companies in Brazil. So if you have a company, you need to improve your activities in social, we can work for you. You don't need to open your own NGO or institute. Okay, you can have a department or a manager, and you can work, you can develop activities in the S for you. And inside Abrinq Foundation, now we have a committee, all the compliance, governance, and now we have an advisor, a special advisor board, just to talk about ESG, to see if our projects are connected to ESG, and when companies come and say, can you help us with this? Okay, we are prepared to develop some activities together in BDS and the ESG. So here I was talking a lot, but we have a small video to share with you. It will be better to explain. It's a short video.
140.000 crianças morriam antes de completar 5 anos. 7,7 milhões de crianças estavam presas ao trabalho infantil. Mais de 72 mil adolescentes não tinham acesso ao ensino médio.
Em 1990, nasce a Fundação Abrinq, uma ponte entre quem pode ajudar e quem precisa de ajuda. Foram mais de 60 programas e projetos desenvolvidos em 3 décadas de atuação, garantindo acesso à saúde, de proteção e educação de qualidade para mais de 8,8 milhões de pequenos cidadãos, contribuindo para a diminuição de óbitos, situação de trabalho infantil e tantas outras vulnerabilidades. Muita coisa mudou para melhor nos últimos 30 anos, porém a realidade da criança ainda merece atenção e cuidado.
mil crianças ainda morrem antes de completar 5 anos. 22 mil por causas evitáveis. 1,7 milhão de crianças e adolescentes ainda estão expostas ao trabalho infantil. 8 milhões de crianças ainda não possuem acesso à creche.
Todos os anos, a Fundação Abrinq atua sem medir esforços para promover e garantir os direitos das crianças e dos adolescentes no Brasil. Só no último ano, 27 creches foram reformadas, 400 profissionais da saúde e assistência à educação foram formados, 507 propostas de leis monitoradas, 39 organizações da sociedade civil conveniadas e mais de 69 mil crianças e adolescentes tiveram seus direitos assegurados. Mais do que gerar resultados, a Fundação Abrinq transforma vidas.
Porque só com respeito e oportunidade vamos mudar a história das próximas gerações.
Going back. Ok, pessoal, eu sou o Curtis da S. Okay. Going back. Are you going to share the presentation with them after that? Okay, good. So here we have a link to download our annual report. The first part is in Portuguese, the second part is in English. It's in our website too. Okay, so some challenges. We were talking about emergency. We are going to keep working on this. This year we were in Pernambuco. In the pandemic crisis, we support more than 26,000 families with food baskets. This year we were keeping working with emergency, was in Pernambuco, Recife, and you choose small cities to help. For example, Synésio was showing that 85% of the people are living in the big cities and the small cities are dying, without people, without money, so we are going there. So in the countryside of Bahia, the countryside of Pernambuco, making really the difference there. So when we arrive, oh, it's amazing. So here is Glória do Goitá. That's some pictures of food baskets that we give. And some NGOs in Brazil, they tried the prepaid card, but it's difficult to have access in small cities. The stores, they don't have machines to receive this, so that's why we decide to give food baskets. Here, we were talking about child mortality. We are in the countryside of Bahia, near Barreiras. We are going to increase the number of cities there, and we are going to have a team there locally working, and we support them in partnership with the cities, providing training and improving some committees, to know why people are dying, and at the same time in Brasilia to have a law as a law, they will have to have these committees to know why they are dying, and develop some education with the pregnant women, teach them how to go through this whole process. So it's not only the 9 months, it's like 1,000 days working with them. Education, as we said, daycare center is still a problem. We're going to increase, we're going to double the number next year of daycares that we're going to remodeling, mostly in the northeastern of Brazil. And we have a training, it's an online training, 5 different kinds of training, so to the managers, education people, and administrative people, different kinds of issues, and to give them some books and toys too. Another opportunity. We have problems nowadays. We have problems in the 0 to 18, but daycare centers are going to improve the numbers of daycare centers. Middle school, we are going to work with children between 6 and 9 because they don't know how to read because of different problems. This online was not so good to children. And 1 year before high school in Brazil, we need to decide 5 options in high school. There's a name in Portuguese, BNCC, there's itinerários. So if you want to be an engineer, we are going to help you to plan, to do a life project. So, okay, it would be better to choose this itinerary here because more maths than Portuguese, for example. So the idea is to lots of children, mostly boys, they drop out of schools because they are not exciting about the school. So, and we train some coordinators and some teachers to work with them to be a nice place to study and make the right decision in their life projects. And the idea is to reduce school dropout. That's it. In general, we have lots of problems in Brazil. We choose like 4 pillars. We have 20 different programs and projects. We choose like 3 pillars, like emergency, health, and education. And now you're open to questions if you want. Thank you very much.
Hi.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, I'm Rebecca from the Brazil Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about the effects of pandemic on the pandemia now on the children in the Brazilian school system?
Okay. So first of all, during the pandemic crisis, the number was like between 2 and 3% of the children, or they were out of schools and out of any kind of activities. So they were out of internet and no computers. On the north, 6%. So 6%. So we're talking about 2 and 3 in São Paulo, for example, and then you go up to north, 6%. And we think that we have a gap in education, like 2 years to recover what they left. So they are adding 2 hours in education. In Brazil, we have in the morning and the afternoon 2 shifts, and they increase 2 hours to try to reduce this. We had huge problems in daycare centers, in high schools, but we think that the worst situation is between 6 and 9. So we are going to start next year a program, and they need to learn how to read. It's very important. So we're going to work at a pilot in São Paulo, training teachers to improve this Portuguese in the first 3 years. So as all over the world, the pandemic was terrible. In Brazil, it was 2 years. They closed the schools. After, when we reopened, teachers, they went into how do you say, a strike. So 1 or 2 months in strike.
But when did they end? We have in Brazil now 46,000 kids without mother and father.
Yeah.
They died by COVID, not with COVID, by COVID. It's, we work in that. We have a plan to help any of this kind of this problem. Not to solve, because Brazil is too big, but we work to arrange a plan, fast plan, to have this 46,000 kids without mother and father and families.
So Rebecca, in being optimistic, because in our sector you need to be optimistic. In part, now we know that people are more connected. They have more access to internet and gadgets and mobile cell phones and others. And our online training are increasing, so we are investing a lot of this. So we have this child mortality zero program in Bahia, and you are running in Sergipe online. So it's an opportunity. Maybe we can share more activities in online training.
Good morning, my name is Raquel Bell.
Can you go there and run the projects there? We don't accept money from government, tobacco companies, and others. So we were talking about this, so there's 4 kinds of companies that we don't receive money. And we need to go to, sometimes they ask us activities that we think that are not important. So we work a lot with numbers. Every year, and you can access this in our website, the senior of children and adolescents in Brazil every year. So we have the numbers of education problems, health problems, whatever. There are 10 SDGs that we work. So we have this, and now we are asking to the president to be a president friend of children. We have a picture, which is Retrato do Brasil segundo as SDGs, all the numbers. So do you want to help children in Mato Grosso, which is the worst situation, all daycare centers and the city. So we can choose. When we work with donors or individual donors, we can choose. So we can do in our São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Minas Gerais. Sometimes we are going to remodel all the daycares in the Northeast next year because of the data. They are poor, they are less access than other cities. And depends on the sponsor. The sponsor, we went to the South. South is not the worst situation in Brazil, but okay, we have a site there. So we went there.
You mentioned.
It's an honor to have you in our meeting.
Brazil has more than I forget the total number of NGOs that are operating in Brazil at the present time, and almost all of them have programs within the area of education and deal with questions of the same sort. One of the things that is impressive about the process is that there's no real coordination. There's really no sense of overall participation in this kind of process. Everyone starts by going to some particular area where someone who is generous and concerned with the future makes resources available and there is no overall strategy, because at the same time, as we know, SUS has enormous problems of making investments in health, and they do not occur because other monies are committed for other types of activity within the government. So we see an enormous rise in the size of the Brazilian government as a consequence of this, and it hasn't led to any solution. And I am troubled by the fact that so many, the Brazil Foundation, others are making large investments in an effort to help, but the contrast between the Ministry of Education and its relationship with primary schools, judgment of the quality and the like of the particular programs, these are where the problems lie. And I think everybody wants to show in the larger corporations that they have a school that they've set up and they're giving resources to, and very little happens at the end of the day, and that troubles me.
Okay, thank you. I think we have more than 300,000 NGOs in Brazil. It's amazing. And yes, we need to, and sometimes companies, they need to understand that we need more than 1 year to run a project. We need at least 3 years to get results. And we know that's depending on the planning and the budget, improvements. And talking about us, NGOs, we start to work with emergence. First action, we invited NGOs to be with us. So World Vision, Doctor Without Borders, Child Fund, other 3 Brazilian NGOs, we were like 10, to make, for example, a coalition to say, okay, World Vision, are you going to Pacaraima? Okay, so I'm going to another place. Doctor Without Borders, are you going to Pernambuco? So I'm going to Bahia. It's not so easy because sometimes, okay, but my project is better than him, so let's go there. But we are trying. And to have work together, this coalition, to have some laws to say what can we do, what you can do. So that's the beginning. So start to talk with them. Okay, World Vision, are you going to the north? So I'm going to the northeast. What are you doing? Can you help? We received some Africans in São Paulo. So we gave them toys to Caritas. So they were starting this shelter to Africans. So we support them to help them. So it's not so easy because, as you know, my NGO is better than yours. But I think we work as in some parts as Brazil Foundation. We support NGOs, we open and give them money. But it's a challenge. It's really a challenge, maybe.
But when did they end? Your comments are so exciting because when did they end? Brazil is too difficult. Our people know, and we survive there. We need to pay bills, and we need to recover. We need the help, and we make this coordination. You go there, we go there. And we have many partners. In Brazil, we have too much rich people. Many friends don't attend me anymore because they know when I ask for money. I lose many friends because I ask for money all the time. And when the day end, teacher, we don't wait for the government activities because it's too complicated. Brasilia is too complicated for us. You saw 5 or 7 different projects in the Congress. We work to go on, or we hope to go to the end of the line. It's our country, okay? But we need the help of kids. This is our focus, is our box. I don't know if it's nice or better, but we help around 99 million people in the time. My plan is before I pass away, I complete 20 millions to help to recover the future and herald the future. And please help us.
I'm on the board and was the chair of another 501c3 here in New York, the Resource Foundation, dedicated to Latin America, but also we don't deal with governments unless they come to us. And that I have 2 questions for you. The first is, one of the biggest problems in Brazil is the fiscal regime, the tax regime. Now, my understanding is there's a reform in Congress to allow deductibility, both by corporations and private donations. Do you know what the status of
Tax
that
regime is this guy.
Yeah, unfortunately, our Congress never understand to improve for the people, make more donors. If you donor $1 for us or for any other NGO, we have no reduce taxes. No, you donor because you donor. No reduced taxes, nothing. Unfortunately, and we try, and we try. But the problem is not the federal government, really not. It's the government and majors. There's a difficult conversation.
The states, municipalities.
States.
I'll check on, I'll see, because there's supposedly something going to go through Congress. I know Paulo Guedes was pushing something. But that might be a way to decentralize things a little bit from Brasilia to other places. You also
Paulo Guedes accept make this, but to make this change, we need a Congress. Okay, and that area is, believe me, is not like Washington. All here is plain. But Brasilia is more complicated. I have no idea, and during my life, we changed it. Okay, and I plan to stay here for 30 years. But I will try.
And the second question?
Yeah, it was, you mentioned that you didn't say explicitly that you're in Roraima, on the border with Venezuela. Maybe talk about what you're doing in Roraima.
Okay. We are work with biomas in Brazil, so the rainforest, Caatinga, Pantanal, and Mata Atlântica, sorry, the names are in Portuguese, but I don't know how to translate this, and the south. It's art education. We have an artist who are supporting us. We have all 30 human rights, and it's here in the UN, the English version, and we have the Portuguese version in Brazil. So it's education connect to children to child rights. So to go to Amazon, you need to ask permission for FUNAI, you need to ask permission for the guy who teaches in the indigenous schools to be there, and they are drawing like parts of the tree, and after 3 years you're going to put together in a big tree, and it's a really beautiful project. And the pictures are here in the UN in New York and Geneva. And in Brazil we have those in Portuguese, those in Portuguese. So it's art education connected to child rights.
But the industries, many industries help the families, and now it's around 100,000 2,000 people work for us in different kind of industries, because when you give a job, you help the family and put the kids in schools. We make this. Probably we need to make more, but there's too much people. The line doesn't stop because they need to pass the border walking. No police, no blocker, nothing. We need to understand, we need the help. We work in that.
Does anyone else have a question? You have any final things to say, or?
Let's just say thank again you and your team, Synésio, to be with us and all of you. And we're going to exchange the presentation and my email. And thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you, Synésio. Thank you, Vitor. Thank you very much for a very great discussion. I wanted to remind everyone our next event is on November 3rd. It is Brazil at the forefront of open banking. This is my final event as the executive director of the chamber, so I just wanted to thank everyone, the members, the directors. It's been a real pleasure working here. This has always been a home for me since 1993, and very welcoming, but other things are calling, like my family and so forth, but it's been an honor and a pleasure working here. But you can't get rid of me that fast. I'll be on the panel on November 3rd. So thank you all very much. Thank you again.
Okay, and thank you so much for your help and your team. And please, we need to touch mind and hearts. Thank you. I'm a romantic this morning.
Yes, you are. Yeah.